The year is 1935. Hitler's Germany begins a massive rearmament program, openly defying the Treaty of Versailles. A nation scarred by the Great War is now flexing its muscles, slowly but surely re-emerging as a formidable force on the global stage. Factories hum with activity, churning out tanks, planes, and artillery pieces. Parades of soldiers march through the streets of Berlin, their boots echoing a rhythm of resurgence. At the helm, Adolf Hitler, a man with a vision of a revitalized Reich. His ambitions are grand, his goals audacious, and his strategies innovative. Yet the Western powers, still wearied by the memories of the last war, choose a path of appeasement, hoping to contain the brewing storm within the borders of Germany. Meanwhile, after the invasion of Poland, a deceptive calm descends. It's called the Phony War, a lull in the combat that belies the tempest that is about to unleash. And then, in 1940, the storm broke. Without warning, German forces launched a rapid series of invasions, beginning with Denmark and Norway. This was the first taste the world got of a new type of warfare, one that would send shockwaves through the annals of military history. This was the Blitzkrieg. Blitzkrieg, or lightning war, was a strategy born out of necessity and innovation. The goal was simple: to strike fast, strike hard, and keep the enemy off balance. The German military coordinated their tanks, aircraft, and infantry in a way that had never been seen before. The idea was to punch through enemy lines with tanks, then use fast-moving infantry to secure the breach, while the enemy was still reeling from the shock of the initial assault. Aircraft would provide cover and further disorient the enemy. This strategy was put to the test in the invasions of Denmark and Norway. The element of surprise was critical. Denmark, caught off guard, capitulated in a matter of hours. Norway put up a spirited resistance, but the speed and ferocity of the German assault overpowered the defenders. What set the Blitzkrieg apart was not just the speed, but the synchronization of different arms of the military. Tanks, infantry, and aircraft all worked in concert to maximize the impact of the assault. In Denmark and Norway, this strategy was devastatingly effective, demonstrating to the world the frightening power of the Blitzkrieg. But these invasions were just the beginning. The true test of this strategy was yet to come. The German High Command had their sights set further south, on the Low Countries and France. These nations, with their formidable defenses and well-equipped armies, would provide the ultimate proving ground for this new form of warfare. But the true test of Blitzkrieg would come further south. This was where the full might of the German military machine would be unleashed, where the world would truly come to understand the terrifying power of the Blitzkrieg, and the world would never be the same. In a daring move, German forces pushed through the supposedly impenetrable Ardennes forest, outflanking the Allied forces. This audacious maneuver was a gamble that paid off and changed the course of World War II in the West. Picture a dense forest, seemingly impassable, a natural barrier that the Allies were confident would slow down any advancing force. The Ardennes was considered a defensive stronghold, a buffer against the German war machine. But the Germans, in their Blitzkrieg strategy, had other plans. The German High Command, under the leadership of General Erich von Manstein, decided to thrust through the Ardennes. They rolled the dice, betting on speed, surprise, and the untested power of their panzer divisions, and it worked. The German forces sliced through the Ardennes, catching the Allies off guard. The supposedly impenetrable forest was breached, and the Allied line was outflanked. Meanwhile, the Netherlands and Belgium fell like dominoes. Their defenses, already stretched thin, crumbled under the weight of the German onslaught. The speed and effectiveness of the German advance was stunning. Cities were captured, and governments were toppled in a matter of days. The Netherlands capitulated on May 15th, and Belgium followed suit on May 28th. The Germans were unstoppable. The thrust through the Ardennes was a masterstroke, a decisive moment in the Blitzkrieg in the West. It allowed the Germans to bypass the formidable Maginot Line, a line of concrete fortifications, obstacles, and weapon installations that France had constructed along its borders. The Maginot Line, once considered an impenetrable wall of defense, was rendered obsolete by the audacious German maneuver. The German onslaught was relentless, and the Allies were in full retreat. The fall of the Netherlands and Belgium, the bypassing of the Maginot Line, all this was a result of the daring thrust through the Ardennes. The German gamble had paid off, and the stage was set for the next phase of the Blitzkrieg. But that's a tale for another time. For now, we leave you with this thought. In war, as in life, sometimes the boldest moves are the most effective. As the German forces closed in, the Allies were forced to evacuate their forces from Dunkirk under constant fire. This was a desperate moment, a frantic race against time. More than 300,000 British and French troops were trapped on the beaches of Dunkirk, surrounded by the advancing German forces and the menacing Luftwaffe in the skies. Their only hope was the English Channel, but the waters were treacherous and the ships scarce. Operation Dynamo, as it was called, was an extraordinary rescue mission. Every vessel, from Navy destroyers to civilian fishing boats, was pressed into service. Over the course of 9 days, they ferried stranded soldiers from the beaches to the safety of British shores. Despite being under constant bombardment, these brave men and women managed to evacuate more than 2/3 of the trapped forces. But even as the last boat left Dunkirk, the German Blitzkrieg was rolling onwards. The French defences were crumbling. On June 14th, the unthinkable happened. Paris, the City of Lights, fell to the Germans. The French government, now in Bordeaux, was left with no choice but to surrender, signing an armistice on June 22nd. The fall of France was a shock to the world. It marked a dark chapter in the annals of French history, a time of occupation, collaboration, and resistance. For the soldiers who had fought and the civilians who had endured, it was a time of deep despair and fear. Yet, amidst the ashes of defeat, there were sparks of hope and resilience. In Britain, Prime Minister Winston Churchill rallied his countrymen with defiant speeches, vowing to fight on, no matter the odds. His words echoed across the airwaves, reaching the ears of those in occupied territories. "We shall never surrender." In less than 2 months, Germany had conquered most of Western Europe. Britain now stood alone. As the sun set on the once mighty French Republic, a new chapter of World War II was about to begin. A chapter of endurance, defiance, and the indomitable human spirit. The Blitzkrieg had redefined warfare, demonstrating the devastating power of coordinated arms and speed. The shockwave of this military strategy rippled across the globe, forever altering the course of history. The speed and totality of the Allies' defeat left the world in a state of stunned disbelief. The rapid fall of Western Europe to Nazi Germany, including the swift conquests of Denmark, Norway, the Netherlands, Belgium, and ultimately France, was a testament to the deadly efficiency of Blitzkrieg. The element of surprise, combined with the use of new military technology, allowed for rapid breakthroughs that traditional defensive strategies were ill-equipped to handle. In the aftermath of the Blitzkrieg, Europe was a continent, transformed. The map was a patchwork of Nazi domination, a chilling testament to the speed and ruthlessness of the German advance. The Allies were left reeling, their faith in traditional warfare shattered. This was the era of Blitzkrieg, lightning war, a concept so groundbreaking it changed the nature of warfare. The emphasis shifted from slow, trench-based warfare to rapid, mechanized assaults aimed at disorienting and overwhelming the enemy. The integration of tanks, infantry, and aircraft in a coordinated attack was a game-changer, dictating the course of World War II and influencing military strategies for generations to come. But the Blitzkrieg was not just a military strategy. It was a psychological weapon, a means of instilling fear and uncertainty in the enemy. The speed and ferocity of the attacks were as much about breaking the spirit of the opposition as they were about physical domination. Yet despite the initial victories, the Blitzkrieg strategy also sowed the seeds of its own downfall. The rapid expansion stretched German resources thin and exposed vulnerabilities. The strategy depended on swift victories, and when the war dragged on, the Blitzkrieg lost its momentum. While a victory for Germany, the Blitzkrieg in the West ultimately set the stage for a long and brutal conflict. The shock of defeat forced the Allies to adapt, to innovate, and to unite in a way they had never done before. The Blitzkrieg, for all its initial success, marked not the end, but the beginning of a long, hard road to victory.